Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the season finale spoilers review of the Book of Boba Fett. This is her boyfriend, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
The bounty hunter, Kirklin Patzer.
The Syndicate, Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, obviously a big one. This is the finale of our first Star Wars show of the year. Got lots of stuff. We had GeekVerse.ca, our first gaming show come out. We got Golden Geeks coming out in honor of the Oscars. We got newscasts. We got reviews for Peacemaker. A whole bunch of stuff. Taylor Field, where can they find it?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us and all that juicy content in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse on our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Facebook because there will be some fun community fan-based poll stuff dropping there soon.
Soon, he says. But yeah, everyone, just go down links below and you'll find everything where to find us. Video, audio, our separate feeds, the podcast network, and most importantly, head over to Patreon because you get these episodes ad-free, exclusive, early, stuff like comic book versions, stuff like Geek for Side Quest. The extra content we're doing this year is because you guys are supporting us, supporting the network, and the more funds we have, the more time we have to produce content and do more shows and have more fun. So we really appreciate the people that have done it already, and if you haven't, go check it out because there's lots of good stuff on there. And yeah, just like, rate, subscribe, all that good jazz. Manscaped, 20% off, free shipping, GVPOD, lots of good stuff. So it's all in the description below. I'm gonna let, as always, we're gonna go non-spoilers. We'll take an ad break and then we'll say, hey, this is fair game. Taylor Field, I'm gonna let you go, Mr. Boba Fett himself.
Oh man, this is an episode I'm gonna have to rewatch probably at least like 3 more times to really understand where I stand with this episode.
Wow.
I don't feel like it's not, in my opinion, at this moment, blowing it out of the water over from last week's, but it's not like the worst episode that we've gotten either. Like, I feel like what we got definitely kind of wrapped up some stories. It wrapped up some things, and there were some moments as I was watching this, like I was feeling content. Like, okay, like, I'm glad like this has been dealt with, this has been addressed, and like as a Star Wars fan, I felt genuinely content and happy that after so many different adventures and so many different things that we've had happen in the Star Wars universe as a whole, certain things were finally put to bed, and I actually felt really, really good about that. When I thought maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting discussion, I think, for this episode, and I immediately was like, okay, I got to look on Twitter, I got to see like, what are people talking about? Dead silence. And that's probably not silent. A good sign. So
I will go next. I'm not sure where Kirklin stands. And I actually threw it to Taylor because I thought he was going to be uber positive. So maybe a miscalculation. So the reason my name is This Is Her Boyfriend, to tell you a quick story, is before I met Emily a few years ago, I met somebody at Eastside Marrows, funny enough. This is a good-looking girl, banging body, all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go over, ask her for a number. I had started up, no conversation, anything like that. Just like, I'm going to go over. Ask her for a number. We text. Things go good. Things go very good a few days later. So I'm living life, right? And then I text her one time to meet up and maybe have some more fun at nighttime. And then I get a text saying, this is her boyfriend. And it felt like a huge kick in the nuts. And that's what this finale felt like, because I felt like last week and the week before was meeting that good significant other. Day, oh, there's some potential here. This could lead to some good things. I'm liking what's going on. And this episode was the text of this was her boyfriend. And that clearly ended all that. And the funny thing was, it was someone I went to middle school and high school with. It was super awkward. I had no idea this guy was a boyfriend. So that's a full-on After 9 story, which I'll get into more. But that's what this felt like. This felt like the sequel trilogy. This season felt like the sequel trilogy all wrapped into one, where just these last few episodes of like the first 4 of the prequels were like, oh man, a lot of recovery. I'm not really digging what's happening. And then Boba Fett episode 5 and 6 felt like Force Awakens. We're like, man, a new hope pretty much. Like there's all this new Star Wars that's come together, these things I like introducing. Wow, I'm loving it. I can't wait to see the future. And then this episode was like episode 8 and 9 where, man, they just bungled this future. And this actually makes me like what happened the last 2 weeks less. It makes me like Mandalorian less. And there's 2 things where there's things I would like to happen, which we'll talk about in the spoilers, where they didn't happen, they went a different way. Oh, that sucks. But then there's also the side of me, the more important side of like, okay, stuff like Dexter, where there's something I didn't want to happen, but it happened. Okay, let's see how it plays out. And for the most part, they turned me around and I liked it. Still thought that was a little rushed, but still, I can have things that I'm not looking forward to, but if you write it good enough, I'll turn. So the stuff that I wanted to happen, or maybe you thought, oh, it'd be cool if this happened, or we did this, didn't happen. And then just the story stuff overall, not great. I've not been a big fan of Robert Rodriguez directing, and I hope this is the end of it. I don't really like the style he's brought to it. There was a lot of weird kind of effect shot of sometimes random slow motion and then random very sped up things. I think the scale of this is like a minor spoiler, but it's supposed to be like a war on Tatooine, right? It did not feel like that when there's just sometimes like 7 dudes standing around in this huge open like field and whatnot. It just did not have the scale, and that's where I thought every time people go, "Oh, Star Wars is better for the TV shows." Right in this episode, that this is why you still do Star Wars movies, so you can have that end of like Rise of Skywalker, massive battle with planes of field, like tons of characters, budget out the yin yang. Where this show to me really showed the limitations of. I think they should keep it to what they did in Mando season 1 or Mando season 2, where it's a smaller location and you can have lots of characters, but it's not as big as this. It's one starship. It's not a whole, planet. So I think that limitations happened. And yeah, I'm obviously we got Obi-Wan coming up, so I'm still very excited for that. But I think I was on the vodka stream last week and we talked about this because I was very high on the episode last week, and we had this conversation of, is this show going to be leading to good stories, or is Star Wars just about big moments now? And to me, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, Favreau and the team, but now it does really just feel like they're playing with action figures, and I feel like the Star Wars now, for me, especially Mando and Bo put together, is just about big moments. So now the next time those big moments happen, I'm going to be less excited because I feel like last week a lot of the good faith they built up with me and maybe some other people that weren't liking Boba. I'm not going to say they spat in the face, but kicked in the nuts is kind of the term I use. Of like, it just felt like, they use this to get us hype, and now it's not really leading anything. I feel like, I'll say for spoilers, but there's some stuff in Mandalorian where I feel like, man, it's just wasted time. And yeah, so I honestly, this was a pretty I agree with Taylor. It's not the worst episode. I still think You're Stuck With Me partner is probably still the worst we've ever gotten at the Star Wars era with Toro. But yeah, not a good finale, and really did not make me excited for a Boba 2 or even Mando 3, to be honest. Like I'll be genuinely excited, but not a good closeout for me. And you can listen to last week how excited I was about Stars, and this was like, man. Oof. So Kirkland Patson.
Stark contrast.
Yeah, stark contrast for sure. So, and there's actually, I will say spoilers, there's some things I like in this episode. Like I said, I agree with Taylor. I don't think it's like, this was off. No, it's just that I think there was the big stuff. I think they fumbled, and I think you can't fumble that stuff. So, Kirkland Patson, where are you on this? Maybe you'll be the most positive out of Taylor and I.
Yeah, I don't think so. I was pretty lukewarm on this finale.
Lukewarm?
I thought it was a good enough finale for what the show was, and I was someone that wasn't even really in love with the show other than like the last few episodes. But yeah, I agree with you guys. It's not a terrible episode. Definitely not a great episode, but I thought it was okay. But it's Star Wars. I don't think okay should really like just be good enough for a finale of a show like this. But I'm just once we get to spoilers, there'll be some things I really liked in this episode. But I think overall I agree with what Travis was saying of just like the scale of it just felt so lacking because this was supposed to be a big showdown, of like all the clans and like just the big final mission basically, and it just felt very lackluster in my opinion. And yeah, I think it could have just been more meaningful. I'm kind of tiptoeing around some spoilery stuff, but all in all, I think it was again just a pretty okay finale for a pretty okay show. And yeah, I'll just leave it there because I don't want to. It's late. I don't want to accidentally spoil something, so let's just jump in there. I don't want to rehash what you guys said. So
I'll tell you what, though, man, my prepping for just a fucking knockout when it comes to Obi-Wan. I'm still excited, but man, I'm bracing myself for impact of what could happen there. Like, because that's the Star Wars thing.
Toro just resurrected or something.
He takes out Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
He puts on Obi-Wan's skin. It's actually Toro the whole time. But no, like that's the most Star Wars thing I've been excited for. And man, I am certainly worried, especially with some of the stuff they're doing there with Vader and stuff. So anything non-spoilers we want to say before we get into this, because it's definitely going to be an interesting discussion, I feel. Okay, so we're going to get into spoilers. So if you've not seen it, as always, tune out, come back, and yeah, we will be right back. And we're back. So I'm going to start, excuse me, I'm going to start with something we had talked about last week, and then me and Taylor talked about in the newscast, and I'm going to maybe bitch and moan about it. I'm going to try and keep it to like a minute to 2 minutes. But man, Grogu just going back with Mando, that was one of those kick of the nuts to me. We spent all season 2 of Mandalorian building up to who's going to get Grogu, how are we going to get him to his people. And we have this huge thing with Luke Skywalker. He's going to take Grogu. It makes so much sense. He's building the academy. Grogu needs to be trained. And Boba or Mando and him have this huge, like very emotional goodbye. It's like, oh, they're not going to see each other for a while. And you know what's not actually happened when you don't watch Boba Fett and someone tunes from season 2 to season 3, Mando and Grogu are just back together. And not even, I would be fine if it was like, oh, we jumped 10 years later. And it's like, okay, this is cool. No, this is a month or two, something like that. So if you don't watch Boba and you just jump, and this is, I guess they are getting more MCU-like, right? That's what they're doing. So I will start to accept that going forward. But I still think overall it does not serve the story. It reminds me very much, and to me this is not as big, it reminds me of Iron Man 3. Remember when Iron Man 3 he blew up all his suits and he's like, Pepper, I'm gonna stop being Iron Man, and then like the next Avengers movie he was just Iron Man again. You're like, what happened here? Now luckily in Civil War they made this big plot point that that's why Pepper broke up, blah blah blah. So maybe they will, and maybe they'll say he should have stayed with Luke and it was a mistake. But again, I just feel like the fact that he just shows up with R2, okay, he gets dropped off. I just feel like for me, at season 2 of Mando, when I watch it now, I feel like the stakes go down. Now I feel like them doing that Luke Skywalker thing in season 2 finale and last week, really it's just they want to pop a rating and pop a trend and be like, oh, we got Luke Skywalker, and isn't this cool? And I'm fine if the show doesn't happen, but I just needed something of a bit more substantial to happen with Grogu going to Luke. Like, sure, he's learned some things, but I don't feel like it's that substantial of... really of like we saw him in season 1 calm and take out an animal, you know, he just did this with the Rancor. Sure, it's bigger. Like I don't really understand the point, and that's where I do worry now, like, oh, these are more for the moments and the action figure things. So Kirk and Patzer, what do you feel about, so we got Grogu's choice, he put on the vest, he's with Mando, and the episode, I don't go right to the end, but the episode just end with hey, we're going on an adventure, you and me, Grogu. We're back at it, just exactly like the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think the point that you highlighted of just if you never watch this show and you go from, last season of Mando to the next season of Mando, it's just such a weird jump when you just completely kind of disregard that like very emotional goodbye that they had. And I can't really defend it. Like, you're definitely right. Like it just has so much less stakes to it when they're just back together again. I think my prediction was that he wasn't going to take the lightsaber and he was going to have the ring mail, but still just seeing it on screen, it's like, I feel like there's something more there. like they I don't know.
Even
just
have the conversation with
Yeah,
Luke of like
exactly.
The fact that, and I love too that Luke must have been pissed. He just dropped him off alone. Like he R2, get this fucking guy out of here. Like I just wasted my time. Like all I wanted was even Luke saying like, okay, you're choosing this, but this path could lead like attachment, whatever it may be. Because clearly we talked about this with Luke that we're like, oh, he has his attachments. Is this fair? Even then, even if he's playing the classic Jedi thing, I want him to give his whole sentiment of you're choosing this, but this could lead you down a bad path. You need training. I understand you're going to do this, but it just felt like weird. They just dropped him off of R2 and like, yeah, okay, fuck Grogu. I'm like, when's Ben Solo born? Give me him.
Yeah, well, like it was surprising when the X-Wing landed and it was just Grogu in there. I was very much expecting Luke in this episode, whether it was just like a flashback or he shows up later on in the episode. So when just none of that happened, I was kind of scratching my own head there. But yeah, because there's just so much rich material that they're just completely they're just not tapping into of not having that conversation between, arguably the most famous Jedi of all time and this just
Oh, yeah.
super
Easily.
cute baby Yoda thing, Grogu. Yeah, it was. I don't really understand the decision there. I think going into Mando season 3, they're gonna have to do some sort of explanation. I would
Are
hope.
they?
I would hope.
I don't know. So,
Yeah.
and even then when we talked about, like,
confidence.
I was like, oh, I'm sure Luke and Ahsoka, they'll definitely fill that out a bit more in the future. After this episode, I'm like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna get that now. Like, I feel like we're
Yeah.
not gonna. It's just like hype moments, and I want to say this because I saw a lot of people, maybe even Taylor liked it. A lot of people sharing this last week, the sentiment of like, oh, well, Boba Fett was always supposed to be Mando 2.5. That's how it was pitched. It's still the book of Boba Fett. It's still its own show. I don't care what people try to say, and the GA, the general audience, will take it as its own show. And now, like I said, I guess they're doing more of the MCU thing, so I guess cool. I just like this is such a big moment all around that I feel like this is still should be in Boba or still be in Mando's show, non-Boba's
Yeah.
show. But I guess it is. So Taylor, Phil, I'm very curious to get your thoughts on Grogu. And so season 3, we're starting out like it's just like.
I think we're losing them.
Trev's getting hysterical over here.
Yeah, there
Star
he
Wars
is.
making go loopy.
Your thoughts, Taylor?
Yeah.
So when I think I was really kind of like running with the idea that you had put out, like, yeah, he's gonna stay with Luke, we're gonna get the Luke and Grogu show, all that jazz. And then when that X-wing was flying in, I thought, oh, like I got excited because I thought, okay, we're gonna see Luke again. Like I'm excited to see Luke here. Okay. And then when it was just Grogu
R2
in the cockpit and R2 flying it, my spirit kind of sank a little bit. And again, like looking through Twitter, I see a lot of people are just ecstatic with the fact that, okay, the two are reunited again. Okay, but that's it, like you guys said, like it does detract a lot from. I won't go as far as like. I mean, season 1 he was looking for Jedi.
Yeah,
sure,
no,
but
season
I mean,
1, I don't think
I would
so.
leave season 1 kind of on its own. Season
Yes.
2 heavily and again, I know it's not like a huge amount of time that really went between where we're at now and the finale of season 2 for Mando, but it does seem weird why I guess they're trying to build the storyline up with the different characters, but shafting in the Mandalorian Jedi stuff into the Book of Boba Fett, where again, like last week's episode, like I love, that's the best episode. Like that's my favorite. It'll always be my favorite Disney Star Wars content of all time. That was just like absolutely incredible. But this just does a lot of that one thing of just Grogu coming back. It just does some damage. But I'm holding my breath because I feel like, okay, there's got to be a catch. There's got to be something as to why they would do this story wise. And I feel like I've loved a lot of what we've gotten so far story wise with Dave Filoni and Favreau and everything. So I definitely am holding my breath because I think, okay, they plan ahead. They have something in mind for what they're aiming at. And I'm sure, again, they wouldn't hire the deepfake guy to do Luke for 2 episodes? They
but I
obviously
wouldn't
have something more in depth.
I wouldn't have thought they'd give Mando and Grogu a big send off if they would have been gone for not even a year. Like not even a year were they separated.
Well, maybe that was a plan, and then they saw the deepfake guys work. They're like, okay, we can make some money off of this. We'll milk it a little bit more.
Well, and I also wonder too. I had someone else float this theory around that like they did that Mando ending, and some executives were like, "Yeah, we need Grogu in the show. Like you're not gonna separate these two. Like you know how much merch we make off fucking Grogu." And they're like, "Okay, well, how do we do this?" Like it feels very Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker, where like Last Jedi did something, and then immediately after it's like, "Oh, you're nobody, Rey," and then, "Oh, you're a Palpatine." It's just like, what are we doing here? And what's weirder about this is why I had more faith is it's still Dave and John doing it. It feels like this is someone else did it, and it's like, oh, I don't understand. Like when we went to Johnson to JJ.
Oh, we lost him.
When we went to Johnson and JJ, that to me made sense of like why there was kind of a weird feeling there. But this feels like that again, but it's the same guy. So that's my only hope is that like the higher ups said like you got to fix this. But even then, not great. And like you said, yeah, we'll see how the story plays. I just don't know. Like you said, season 1 was okay. He's trying to find out what this thing is. Then season 2 is okay. Has to find home. Season 3, it just feels like Grogu will just be along for the ride. You know, I really don't know.
There'll be something that I feel like brings them, I don't know, just brings them apart. I feel like they're just gonna lean that route of explaining some reason why they have to be separated or something. Because I don't know, it's a tough pill to swallow. That they're just gonna be like happy going into the next season and throughout the next season of Mando and just
Well, I don't think
no, there's no
happy, but
stakes.
I think they'll be together the whole time and just doing events.
Yeah.
Like I literally think it's gonna be whatever. It feels like they had Mando's story plan up for season 3, but now it's like, okay, let's add Grogu onto that because like they clearly said, okay, he's gonna deal with like, the Mandalorian stuff. He's gonna become a Mandalorian, get his status, but just like Grogu's just there, So
I think
I
it's
don't
just
know.
like the wound is fresh too. I mean, like we just if Grogu was gone at the end of season 1 of Mando, and then we had the whole season 2 of Din Djarin doing his adventures and that whole gap in between, and then he comes back, I would probably feel a lot more okay with it. But we just had it. Like,
That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking for is one season. Once, and we didn't even get that because we got this buffer show in the middle. I was like, yeah, we can't even do Mando season 3 without Grogu. We're gonna bring him back in Boba. It's just like I feel like I know they want their Grogu merch and everything, but like you could have had this one episode even in the next season if you want to. Like just make us miss it a little bit because, like I said, I feel like if I watch season 2 of Mandalorian again, that finale, it is not gonna hit me at all. Really, it's kind of like if I don't know, like I guess because people might compare it to like Infinity War where the snap happens and they all come back, but that was clearly set up as like, okay, we can get these people back. To me, it's like if Tony died and then in Far From Home, he's like, hey Peter, I found a way to come back. I'm here. It's like, oh,
let me pitch this. Do you feel like they felt they were backed in a corner because we have the story already written out where that Jedi Temple gets destroyed, the Luke's building, and Kylo Ren literally kills everyone? So do you think they felt pressure that, okay, we can't really afford to we don't have even the time to work with it, the timeline, because there's so few years to work with, so we got to shift him back to
there's 25
Mandalorian?
years. That's as old as you two.
No, he didn't. Luke didn't recruit Kylo Ren like that later on, right? Like he recruited him much sooner when he was younger.
Okay, but right now, I think in the timeline, Ben Solo's not born, right?
5 years. I think he's just about born or just a
twinkle
baby.
in his
But even
father's
then,
eye.
he would probably be recruiting him when he's about 5 years old, right? Ben Solo, something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it like justifying like the sense of like Luke and what he chose or anything like that. I'm just justifying like maybe they felt like rushed, like we can't have Kylo Ren and Grogu actually ever like be in the same room together.
But
Because
all you do is just, we talked about this before in season 2, is let's say he trained him the whole time. Grogu comes back, like he goes away on a mission or something like that, and he comes back and that planet's just fucking destroyed and Luke's gone, and then he goes, well, I'm lost, I'm gonna go look for Mando or something like that. Or you make him leave before all that goes down, because this is where I can't buy that theory, because you're talking about Dave Filoni, who has like been a master of like putting things in canon that didn't happen before. Like look at Ahsoka just like popping up at the end, like in Return of the Jedi era, right? It's like in the movies this didn't happen. So they've done that before where it's like you only have a finite of time to do this. It's like, oh yeah, in between all this stuff in the original trilogy, Vader was also fighting Ahsoka and doing all this stuff, right? So he's done it before. He's played around with it, so I don't think that. And also because like they went out and got the fucking deepfake guy. To me, they should have just ended it there, But it just like I said, it feels kind of like a retcon. It doesn't feel like a natural story flow, and I feel like they're backed in corner more of just like I said, I do now maybe subscribe to that theory of they're just like, yeah, you got to have Grogu in the show. You can't have it without him. And
well, I think Mando season 3 is going to start with Luke arriving back, or not Luke, Din
Picks him
Djarin
up again.
arriving back on the planet and literally like saying like, Grogu, you need to be here with Luke. And I think we're going to get some dynamic, and maybe Grogu will choose to go back with Luke, and maybe he just chose like he wanted to see Din Djarin and
just
chose that.
flip-flopping. Yeah,
What a
just
fucking
going back and
waste.
forth.
Yeah.
I thought, and that's the only way I thought I'd be fine with it. And I was waiting for other story points to like get me sold. But I was like, okay, he's gonna be there, and Din Djarin's gonna be like, no, like you should be like. After I talked with Ahsoka, she was right. You should be with him. You should be with your own people. I understand how important that is. Maybe one day we'll see each other, but you need to do this. But Din's just like, no, I'm so fucking lonely. I miss this little guy. And like, I get it, but like, it was strange that he had that conversation with Ahsoka, and that felt like it set him up to be like, yeah, I need to back off. And then the second Grogu shows up again, he's like, here I am. And you could be right, Taylor. Right away in season 3, they might go, oh, maybe you should be with Luke. But then what? Does season 3 just end with Grogu back with Luke again? And we're just in this
No,
revolving
I think
door?
they might actually do that at the beginning. Beginning or like the first 2 episodes, I have an inclination that they might
Oh my
just shaft him over.
God.
And that's how I feel like
Fuck.
I don't feel like Filoni and Favreau would tackle having Grogu in there, like just using basic Force abilities, just literally the bare minimum. I feel like they know people want to see him get trained to be a Jedi. Like, or maybe they do want to just ride out because some executive is saying like, hey, Grogu and Din Djarin, you got to keep them together because they're making the money. And sure, that's what I'm seeing on Twitter right now. Everyone's praising the fact that, hey, oh, the two are never should be separated again. They're back together. Yes, they're reunited. I'm like, okay, yes, that's okay. But it's not the right context yet. It's going to be interesting to see how
People are
they
too
move
impatient.
forward.
They can't just let it pay off, look, you know what meant so great in Return of the King when Frodo finally saw all the Fellowship again is that he had to wait a fucking 4.5 hours to that reunion happen. When it happens, like, oh my god, I'm so excited to see you all, and the elf guy, I'm so excited to see you all. Like, this is great. So Taylor thinks that Luke may come back into play next season, and Clay says if Luke comes back from Mando season 3, it'll not do anything for me. Luke will be just as calm as Miss Frizzle. I don't go that far, but I definitely see your point of like I kind of agree to an extent. So like I said, Taylor feels like the Luke dynamic will be introduced again. I think they're just going to do Mando season 3. They're together, more adventures. Kirklin, what do you think is going to happen next year with Grogu and Mando?
So you
Or
don't think
this
we're
year, I
gonna,
guess December, apparently, yeah.
You don't think we're gonna get Luke in this next season, Travis?
Not in the sense of he'll take Grogu won't go back to him or Luke will take him again. Like maybe they'll bump into each other again, but I don't think it will be Grogu's going to stay with you now, you know?
Yeah, I think my only hope there is Ahsoka, just because she was really pushing, I feel, for Grogu to go that route of like actually training with Luke. I'm hoping that she, I don't know, either comes and collects him, and then if you go that route, you don't really need Luke there to pick him up because you could just say, okay, Ahsoka grabbed him, brought him over to Luke, and then he's training there while Mando's, I don't know, trying to fucking handle Mandalore, whatever his adventure is for season 3. But again, like, is that really that much different if Luke just shows up in his X-wing? Come on, we're going to get tacos, or we gotta go do stuff.
Why don't you be my nephew? He's great.
It is strange. I was talking to someone at work about just the show in general, and he incepted just a little like conspiracy theory in my eyes of just because he was pushing that because of just like the people's reaction to like the first couple episodes of just Boba in general, like Tamara Morrison as the character. They're like, do you think they just completely were like, yeah, let's just not have him in these next 2 episodes because the ratings or whatever it might be is just like, yeah, I don't think people are liking this.
Season 3 episodes and
Just
put it in.
some
No.
things and put him in there
I
because it
think
just
it's-
felt
No.
such a shift.
It
you
did
know?
feel like that.
And then,
It felt like
and then they just brought back Grogu out of like nowhere. And it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
It did feel like that. That's why I guess I made that like
Yeah.
Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker comparison. I don't think that actually happened because I don't think they would have known in advance. Like, I don't think they could actually pull it off. Like, that'd be
It's
a
a
very
big thing.
expensive
Just
feature.
Disney, just like
Yeah.
actually winging it like mid-season.
No, I think this was somehow always the plan of them writing
Yeah.
it this way and doing it and stuff. So
It's funny that you can like entertain that idea though, with just how disjointed like some of the season actually was. It's I don't know. I'm really intrigued on just looking back, like once, I don't know, we're in Mando season, whatever, and we're just looking back on what happens with Grogu. Because I don't know. I think I still kind of feel bitter like about the Grogu thing. Because it just takes away like a lot of the impact and the emotion from that season 2 finale. I hope they fix it, and I think it'll be Ahsoka that kind of saves us there, if it happens. But
I hope
Not
they
too
fix it,
confident.
but yeah, I don't have that confidence. Yeah, let's take an ad break because I'm dying to ask Taylor about something else. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So Taylor, like a couple of minutes ago, you're talking about how last week is still your favorite Disney Star Wars content and everything like that episode. And I agreed with you until tonight. And I was like, okay, everything like that. So you're talking about how you watch it. It's going to be great. So my only thing, though, is how you feel, how you going to feel when you plug that episode in, you need to watch it, and you get the introduction of the great animated character, Cad Bane.
I'm going to tell you.
Wait, you see that, but then you see his introduction, and then you know the very next episode, this guy's gonna just get fucking gutted on the floor.
I called it though. I said like
you did.
Did
No,
I
you were
not?
100% right. I didn't think they'd do it, and I was like, "Fuck, they're fucking idiots." I don't understand. I'm not saying this guy needs to be a whole show, but at least just keep him around for like more appearances. Like
I'm at all not opposed again to him sticking around. Like absolutely. I mean, it's Cad Bane. But the guy's over 71 years old. He, like,
he's still faster than Boba, though.
Yeah, he's a trained bounty hunter. But I mean, at the end of the day, I have been with Cad Bane since, the Clone Wars, since his beginning into the universe of Star Wars. Like, I've been there through all the adventures. He's got a lot of adventures. I feel, okay, we got him in live action. And if you're going to kill off an animated Star Wars character or a big prominent Star Wars character, do it in live action. Don't pull a Maul on us or anything like that, even though that was good. But at the end of the day, like watching this, that's what I was talking about in the non-spoilers part. Like I felt content, like holy shit, like his story is wrapped up. And again, I feel satisfied because I was there for all these adventures and things that I got to see him do in the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch, and all those different things. I know it's a shame for other people, but like other people necessarily be like, oh, who's Cad Bane? Like it'll just be kind of like night and day for them. They're not going to necessarily understand, and hopefully they can turn them into like the Clone Wars or something like that. I don't know, but for me as a Star Wars fan, I don't feel like I was robbed of anything because I had so much satisfaction and adventure from this character already. Just to get him on live action and to see him be, what's the word? Kind of just relinquished, I guess, or just he's met his end. I'm very okay with it. I'm surprised how okay with it. I'm happy that I called it. That's the main thing. So I am 100% okay with his ending.
Yeah, see, for me, this is where when I talk about the two camps and non-spoilers, when I said there's like the fanboy stuff that I'm disappointed in and the story stuff, the Grogu, the Luke, the Mandalorian, that's the story stuff where I'm like, okay, yeah, I like Luke and Grogu, but like to me, there's just story points that they really hurt with the show overall. This to me was like, it fits the story fine. I'm not overly mad, but again, this just felt like I was already down and just another kick to the face of like, oh yeah, you like Cad Bane being in live action, hey? Take that, motherfucker. And I was like, oh,
this is her second boyfriend. There's another one in the picture.
yeah. They're almost, yeah, like, you're okay. In a polygamous relationship. Why am I? What's wrong with me? But that's fine. I just think that when you say like, oh, might convert people to Clone Wars, I don't think there was enough content to get that there.
It's not like a surefire conversion.
No, I know.
Thing.
But I just I feel like clearly, unfortunately, by the end of the show, they're like trying to really set up like, oh, Boba has this gang and you might get a season 2 out of this. I feel like why not keep Cad Bane around for like maybe one more season, then kill him off? Like give him a bit more backstory. Same thing, like the people watch the show, the GA, don't even know the backstory of Boba. And I guess you don't need it. They're inferring some stuff, but I just think they kind of, again, there was potential, like missed potential that it was sitting right there. He's a cool character, and it's just, well, that was that. Like, again, that's where, again, to me, it felt like they introduced him last week just for a moment, and then they killed him off. Like, okay, well, we don't know what else to do with this character, so we'll move along. We don't know what else to do with Grogu and Luke, so we're moving on, And so, yeah, I was pretty disappointed by that. It's one of the lower ones, but still, it was just like a, man, well, this sucks. It just was the cherry on top of this sucky finale. Kirklin, how do you feel? Because you just met Cad Bane last week, and there's lots of hype for him. So
I said goodbye tonight.
Yeah, you met him last week. Say goodbye tonight.
It's another weird decision because I haven't seen Clone Wars. I was still just excited to dive into the Cad Bane and like having him in live action. I thought he was a cool looking character, and I was excited to just learn more about him. And with just what happened in this episode, he didn't actually die, right? Unless I'm just tripping. He was just defeated, right? Yeah.
Cad Bane, he died.
He got stabbed through the heart.
Okay, that's not how I remembered it. So I'm glad you guys clarified there.
Oh, yeah,
So,
he's
yeah,
gone.
He's now gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like such a good character to like bring into a show like this because it's not. I don't know who I would even compare him to. It just seemed like a well liked character from the Clone Wars, and it made sense to transition just a bounty hunter type character that also looked badass, was familiar from Clone Wars, and then you just bring him in the show, and it's a great spot for him. Like he just fits so well in the setting of Tatooine. Like even if he just became like a more neutral character, that could have been really fun. Just kind of like dancing along the lines of helping sometimes, maybe just being an enemy other times. So just knowing that, like from literally like one episode, it like I think that's really where you get all the content for the character, and now it's just completely missed. Now they could always, I don't know, do some I'm hesitant to call it filler content, but it basically is filler content of just having Cad Bane live action, but like maybe before these events.
Yeah,
It's
he
kinda
could
like
pop up again. Yeah.
yeah. So you do have some hope there, but just I don't know, knowing that he's not just gonna be like with the regular timeline is definitely a missed opportunity, and yeah, it's it's sad, and I'm not even attached to the character, so I can only imagine how someone that really liked the character feels. But it seemed like Tara wasn't too bummed about it, so that's good.
Taylor, do you think the internet? How do you think the other fans are gonna take it though?
It's been absolutely dead silent. I
Yeah.
mean,
We'll
I
see
don't know.
tomorrow in the morning. I get the sense it's not positive right now, just on a few tweets. I've seen even people that liked it more. It's like, I know people are complaining, but it's like, yeah, but yeah, so R.I.P. Cat Bane. We hardly knew ye, What I was gonna say, talking about Cat Bane, so again, another thing where I just scratched my head and I was like, what the fuck was the point of this? So Freetown shows up. So we'll get into it all, but there's a big battle going on, right? And at one point, Freetown shows up. There's a squad of 2-3 people to help save Boba and their crew. There's like 10 or 12, but still, it just feels so small. So like this is a town. But anyway, so they show up, and in the middle of the battle, they're talking about Cobb Vanth, and that alien, that guy that looks like a shit. He's like, "Oh yeah, Cobb Vanth, he died. Like he didn't make it. That son of a bitch gunned him down." Also, he didn't say son of a bitch. And then what happens? What's our big end credit stinger? That Cobb Vanth is in the bathtub tank healing up. So it's like, what was the fucking point?
And the modder too, he came doing some
Yeah.
Frankenstein shit.
Well, and
Oh,
even
he's
Cat
gonna
Bane
be-
was
he's
like,
gonna
"You
be the new Cad Bane.
yeah, even Cat Bane was like, you should have left him with your armor." So like this is almost like he's gonna be modded up. But I was just like, what the fuck was the point of just like teasing he was dead, and then 20 minutes later that's our end grid? No, he's alive. And I had to go back because like, who the fuck's in the tank? I'm
I
like,
thought it was Palpatine at first.
I
I'm like,
didn't
oh
get
no, the modder's bringing us back to Palpatine.
In defense of the whole Cobb Vanth thing, the Weequay didn't really. I didn't feel like he enlightened us of the fact that he died. He just said like
did
he
say
shot
he
him. No, he
died.
just said he shot him in cold blood out in the sand. Like I didn't take it at all that he died.
oh, I'm not gonna tonight. I don't know. I gotta go back at some point because I swear they inferred that he died, and it was just like, what's the point?
Son
But-
of a bitch gunned him down.
The deputy died,
dialogue.
but not Cobb Vanth.
well, I know the deputy died. They put the deputy in the tank on him.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
credit scene.
So maybe I will take that back that he's dead, but still, I just feel like, what was the point of him not being there? And then the BAFTA tank, it felt, oh, Taylor's muting himself because he's looking, make sure you get those subtitles. But I still feel like even if he's not dead, it was just a strange choice again to not have him there. Just felt like, man, Timothy Olyphant didn't have time to be here, so we shot him, we wrote him out, and then we put him in the BAFTA tank. It was so odd. It was such an odd choice, especially because like it was so funny. Taylor before the episode, he's like, "Make sure you stay then. There's gonna be something juicy there." And because Mando season 2, we got like the Boba Fett drop, like the seasons come. So I believed him. I was like, yeah, I bet they are going to do something pretty juicy. And when it's just called Vanth and the fucking Vanth thing, I'm like, this sums up my thoughts of this entire episode. Taylor, did you find any proof there of what he said yet or no?
No, I wasn't looking.
Oh, I thought you were confusing yourself. Kirklin Patzer, what do you think about Cobb Vanth? He is alive. He was missing this whole episode, but he is alive. And
Yeah.
100%. We'll talk about this a bit more, Clay, but yeah, protect the people, and Mandalorian runs away. One of my favorite parts was when Boba and him fuck off, and they just let one of the main machines just go after, like, Black Chrysanthemum, the Power Rangers. Like, it was so fucking messy. All the battle thing. Like, at one point, it's so weird that Black Chrysanthemum, who got fucked up in this episode so much, at one point he was getting shot by the big machines, like the big machines film, and like the girl with the arm and the fucking robot eye guy, they check on Black Chrysanthemum, and the people are still running, and the robots that way with them. You cut to the next scene, and Black Chrysanthemum and the crew are with the people again. It's like, did they just like sneak past the road? Like, what happened? Like, why? What happened? And when I have in my notes, I have to shout out, I was so fucking mad. And this is why again, Rodriguez stopped directing. When they're checking on Black Chrysanthemum, these two Pike guys run up, and the eye guy was like, wait, and he pushed off, and he like span twice and shot them. It's like,
Oh, his little barrel roll spin.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm
whoa, where is this coming from?
I'm like, this is fucking lame. This is stupid. Like, that to me was worse than anything that's been in the prequels. And I was like, Rodriguez, this is not working. This like kind of tongue-in-cheek, like pulpy action, just stop it. So no, good point. That would bring it up. But let's see. The quote is, "Gunned him down in cold blood." See, to me, that infers he's dead. Gunned him down.
Yeah,
like,
I'd say
you know,
That doesn't mean
shot
that
him
he's
dead.
dead. No.
No,
Gunned him down. If he said gunned him dead or shot him dead.
If I said Kirkland was gunned down in the streets, you would
In
think
cold
he was
blood.
dead.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that
My
you
blood
die
is
in Star
cold.
Wars.
But
We
you
have
would-
people getting cut in half in Star Wars and everything. Gunned him down in cold blood. That's probably like they say is a passing fancy in the Star Wars universe.
Thank you, Clay. But either way, even if they just said, yeah, he's alive, it's like, then where is he? Like, Kirkland, where are you in the Cobb Vanth of it all?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was just very surprised he didn't make an appearance. And yeah, I really didn't realize that it was even Cobb Vanth like in the Bantha tank until now. Until you guys mentioned it. I like thought of rewinding and like zooming in, but I'm like, no, I'm running late. They'll tell me what's actually in there. It's so strange, especially like what you just said, Travis, how our end credit for season 2 of Mando was leading into this next show. So I was expecting something there. Maybe this is leaning somewhere new.
The Book of
can't
Cobb
really
Vanth.
I know I can't really picture that being, a good selling point for a new Star Wars show, but who knows? But yeah, it was very strange, and yeah, you guys were just talking about some of the messiness of just the big battle royale at the end, and there were so many moments like I actually just like burst out laughing on just some of the things that are happening. I think honestly it's just because a lot of the characters that they picked up in their ragtag crew I just really didn't care for. So like seeing them back on here, especially coming from the last 2 episodes that was completely different from the rest of the season, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what this show is. We have these, the cyberpunk dude with the weird eye thing, and the Power
Just
Rangers
stealing screen time from other people. He probably like ad-libbed that flip, and Robert's like, let's keep it in. No, cut that.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving the improv.
Yeah, do more.
He's like Kylo, like in the ATTA, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah,
More.
And like, it was so like messy and like one of my favorite moments is 2. They're running away from this robot. Like I said, somehow they sneak past the robot and they're just with the crew again. Makes no sense. And she's just like, well, if we go any further, it's a dead end. And the guy's like, well, what do we do? And she's like, we fight. And it's like, yeah, like
We fuck.
Yeah, I thought I was fucked. But it's like, you're still going to die here. Like, think about, and their whole plan was just, like, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen is this crew of people is going to be smart enough to figure out how to beat this robot. Here comes the moment. No, just the Rancor comes back again in and helps them. Like, because it's like, it doesn't matter if you're the dead end or in this little wall, you're going to die. So it's like, you may as well keep running and buy yourself some time. Like, all these things. And I just love, like, same thing. There's times where the robot is like fighting Boba, and Mando will just like casually like walk with Grogu into a room and just like, we're gonna sit here for a bit. Boba, man, again, he's just a fucking idiot. 3 things that happen in this episode. He's like, I want to go back to the palace. That's very protective. Let's do it. And they're like, no, we're going to stay here and fight. You're right. Let's stay here and fight. and then they're like, what's the deal? oh well, they want no Spice Run, and then Boba's like, oh, that's a big ask, and Fennec's like, yeah, that's like all our entire operations, and Boba's like, consider it done. And it's just, she's like, all the money would be gone, and he's like, I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. And then to top it all off, like, I feel like Boba Fett has been through enough generations that he knows he's seeing all this gunfire goes down the road, and what does this fucker decide to do? He decides, I'm gonna waste my one fucking rocket on my back on the shields.
I would say it was a waste. I'd say it was worth trying. No, it was one of the few kinetic weapons that they had at their disposal to try.
To me, this man should be smart. No, this is not like, as a viewer, Taylor, did you think this was gonna work at any point? If we don't think that, Boba shouldn't think that. The man who's been through generations, he's been through the prequel eras, the original
trilogy. If your plasma weaponry and your blasters aren't working, then the next thing you got to do is try kinetic. And obviously, as I said, the kinetic weaponry was too fast and too powerful to
need some
actually
of those fucking
go through the
gun balls with the electricity. That's what he needs.
You need like a slow moving object to like successfully get in. It's the same reason why like the droids moving slowly into the Gungan shields kind of thing. And it's the same reason why in like Clone Wars you can get through a droideka's shields, but you have to roll like a thermal detonator so it slowly can roll through and it doesn't block it.
Yeah, I just like he was smart enough to know, like, out of all the battles he's done, like, this is not gonna work. That's my point. Like, Boba Fett, simple Fett he's just gone. I just hate this guy. I hate what they've done to Boba Fett. And like, you know who gets respect is fucking Blacker Sandin, who actually tried. Like, yeah, he got hit, but he was like,
would you not use your rocket though? Like, you just wouldn't use any weapons? So you're just gonna just keep firing pointless shots? You're gonna use everything in your arsenal.
No, because I would be like, clearly, if we can get this shield down and I shoot my rocket, that's a kill shot. I'm gonna save this, not fucking just waste it like in the first act of the battle.
I don't know.
That's his favorite weapon. He's like, guys, watch this. I can't wait to use this.
I give him credit. I think if you fire enough shots and you fire the rocket, maybe you can disable the shields or drain it down. I give him credit for trying. I give him all credit. So
Simple Fett. Holy crap.
Fett.
He is just become
no, you're
such
right,
a
not the
meme
palace.
in my eyes. The character Boba Fett, which is so weird. I never thought entering the show I was actually going to think that, because what was like hinted at in Mando season 2 for him, I was liking. I think I liked all that stuff, but yeah, just like the very first scene, I think of us having Boba in this episode, unless I'm mistaken, was like when they're at the ruins. He's like, okay, we'll go to the palace. They're like, no. Like, what are you talking about?
That's the worst idea. And he's like, you're right. It is a bad idea. This is the guy who's now going to be in charge of Tatooine. This fucking guy. What about all our money? No, it's a deal. No more spice. And Fennec's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a man of my word.
Seems like so airhead. Like, he just doesn't really think about things. He's like, okay, what do you guys think? What do you guys think we should do? It's like, this is the daimyo? Okay. Yeah. Christ, that's funny.
Oh,
that's funny.
It just ends with him walking through the town with his fucking teeth, bowing to everybody and shit like that. And like, when he in the middle of the episode, he's like, I can't leave Tatooine. These are my people. These are his people? We've not seen any of that in this fucking
from
show.
Here? Come on.
Yeah, this is such bullshit. Like, no, what they should have just kept. He should have had a little hut outside with the Tusken Raiders, grew up with them, and they had a community. Then I'd believe like these are his people.
Yeah.
He's not getting like this random thing like these Tatooine, these boss people. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. And yeah, simple. Oh man, just all of it. Just like, yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot.
And yeah, like, fucking like, oh, they all the gangs betrayed us. Really? We didn't think this was gonna happen? Like, Jesus Christ. They promised me they'd remain neutral. Oh no, they all turned on me. Oh, didn't plan on this happening.
Yeah, that line.
Christ.
They broke the treaty. And Mando's like, yeah, they did.
Mando's like, fuck, I signed up with this guy.
Yeah, I swear, guys. I made such a mistake.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna bring us back in here. For any of you guys, oh my goodness, we gotta mute these guys. There we go. I muted them there. They're dying, like making noises. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's put some context in here. Were some bad calls made? Oh yeah, absolutely. But with Boba Fett, I'm gonna throw it out there. Is he a little bit of an airhead? For sure. But at the end of the day, you have this character who I feel like that was a little bit out of context when you guys said like, okay, like poor planning just to kind of go hide in Jabba's palace, because that's not really the context of that situation. He was going to fortify there because he wasn't thinking about the people in that sense. But that's where you have the people. Well, that's where you have the people reminding him, and I just
Hey, where are
feel
your
like
people? Where are your
a
people?
thing that they were trying to kind of get at was he really has no. I know you guys don't laugh at this. He has no, he doesn't, because he's not a daimyo. He wanted to just shoehorn his way into this, and that's something Cad Bane calls him out for in this episode too. Like, you're trying to get clean or trying to get straight, but like, you're a killer. You're always a killer, and that is again
kills Cat Bane. I thought this was
that's
the
exactly it, and that's something that goes hand in hand with him when he's like, "Hey, let's go back to Jabba's palace," because he, at his core, he's a killer, and he necessarily is. He's not as honorable as Mando, but he doesn't as well care as much as he may think he does about the people. And again, it's addressed at the end, like, I'm not really suited for this kind of thing. So I'm trying to give a little bit more credit. Like, I don't want people to laugh at this review because you guys are laughing a lot. I want people to kind of think like, okay, like, there's some perspective here a little bit.
Oh yeah, I just love that he has all these people, and you're saying that Boba's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, he tells the people, and people are like, oh, this guy who's running it. It's like, no, I think there is funny stuff too, just because the whole season has built up to like the problems he's had. But I think it's just, again, from like the non-laughing point, I just feel like they needed to spend more time with him, like establishing this with his people. Like, stuff like I don't see the connection at all. Like, it's just it's strange. It's a bunch like the Pikes. Like, if you had no context for them in other canon, I just feel like they would really just dropped in like, these are the bad guys, these are the cannon fodder that Boba and Mando are gonna beat up, and it was lots of strange choices. Taylor, you didn't also, because we went off of Boba. I might have a few more notes on Boba, but yeah, I don't, other than for meme purposes, I don't need more Boba, but I think we're going to get him, and I can't wait to see what he's doing. I can't wait to see him go into like negotiations next season. Like, he's so...
Well, I think his context will be brought back more like the Avengers style Star Wars, what they're doing, where they bring in everyone in. So now that we have Mando having helped him out, we're going to have Boba kind of do Mando a favor now too. Whether that's going dealing with Thrawn, who knows?
He's like, this guy plays chess. I can't do this. I only know checkers.
But on the note of like Black Chrysanthemum, I really, really liked him in this episode. I thought when all those Trandoshans were turning on him, I thought, okay, this is like right up his alley. He's just gonna love this. And
then
sure
they beat
enough,
him down.
like, well, he was enjoying every second of it though. So I mean,
was he? He's screaming in pain.
No, but he clearly killed all of them, and then he came in like a boss and took like 20 shots in the back as he was limping towards the crew. So.
I thought they were gonna platoon him there. I thought that scene with them jumping him, I really wanted him to fuck them all up, and I was mad that they cut away. I felt like Black Crescent, like the whole season been Wayne K. There's gonna be one episode where he just goes ham. I thought this was gonna be it. And he was just, he was just getting hurt all the time and stuff like that. I'm happy he survived, because I was pretty worried when he was on
I
his
was
knees
worried.
there.
I was worried he was gonna die here. I'm like, oh no.
If we would have
no, what's
lost
happening?
him and Cat Bane and Cobb Vanth for half an hour, I would have been really upset. But like, I hope we get more in the future. I just think that I think that big gun was cool, but it almost restricted him too much. I wanted a few more hand-to-hand combat, and but I'm happy he's alive, and I'm always down for more Black Chrysanthemum. And he was literally just the human shield of this episode. And like, Boba, what did Boba? Boba says like, oh, you need a good soaking in the Bacta tank after this. They can't bring up the Bacta tank so much. Cat Bane made a Bacta tank. He's like, you can run back to your Bacta tank. And then at the end, Fennec's like, oh, you need a good time in the Bacta tank. It's just like, oh my goodness. Like, they, at least the world, the people know that like Boba likes the Bacta tank,
His ideal situation is like the Matrix, when they're just all in their tanks and just living their lives, being nice and smooth.
Before I got a question to throw back to it, because you didn't get to it. All in the Game says, Farrow's right, ain't always the best. Boba just isn't much of a character based on an entire show around. Better off dedicating to a couple episodes of him and Mando in season 3. Yeah, maybe they do the reverse. I still think you could have made something there. I think maybe just for me, if you were going to do Boba, the crime lord, that's what the show should have been. As much as I like the Mandalorian episodes, I feel like we didn't get that. at the end of the day, I wish they just went with a Boba Bounty Hunter show. Like now that what I've seen we've gotten from start to finish, just him collecting jobs, trying to get back on his feet, and maybe you lead up to this. Again. Oh, shout out to the Gamorrean guards. They're gone. They just fucking got bopped. Where were they? Why did Boba have them just watching a cliff?
They weren't. They were watching to see if more Pike troops are coming in.
I love it too,
spaceport.
because
You two stay here.
They were
right
like
on
one
this
of the
cliff.
last people to like find out about the invasion. I feel like everybody was already like pretty much underway with their combat, and then they're just like waiting there. The train goes by. They're like, guys, they're here. And they just got like fucking Spartan kicked off the cliff. Like, I was sad to see them just die that way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god,
Boba never mentioned him again. Didn't say shit about them. And I will
they're not
say
his people. Yeah.
Taylor might try to play the higher up card, but he's smiling at all the stuff we're saying as well too. So there's some fun.
Deep down, deep down, he agrees with us.
Better. And then Family Clay says there were so many rumors, cameos, absolutely nothing. People have been getting shit for scoops on stars. Yeah, I guess so. But again, I didn't. The Han Solo one I'd heard like you, Clay. But I was happy we didn't have Kira or Solo. Like this finale was packed enough, so I don't think we needed more cameos going on. All I'm thinking was some of Bebop Rock say the worst guards in the world. They're definitely dead, right? Well, I imagine they couldn't get to the baptist tank. They're probably squished. But I will watch that again because I got to watch the show again with Emily. But it's just the perspective of how they shot it. And I think it's because it's like in the volume and green space. It just literally looked like they were watching a cliff, and I was like, why are they here, and why are they just getting bully pushed off this cliff? Like, oh man, I don't know.
She's just like, I don't know. I feel like they're just such imposing creatures, like Gamorrean guards. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They did not feel that menacing, just getting corralled off the ledge like a
yeah.
buffalo. Like they weren't
You're
even
gonna jump.
Yeah, like they were really. I don't know. I feel like they could have been more savage fighting off.
Get them a couple kills.
Yeah, no, exactly. They died with 0 kills. Come on.
Yeah.
I quickly wanted to mention before I forget. Going back to Cad Bane. Probably one of the biggest disappointments was just him actually being gone. And I'm not even that big of a fan of Boba, I'm realizing. I still think there was some really good content there with Boba and Cad Bane, especially just because when Boba was gone, like Cad Bane was the new like #1 bounty hunter, wasn't he? You guys
when
can probably speak to
Django
this more.
died,
When
Cad
Django
Bane
died,
became the new one. Yeah.
There's so much rich material there to just tap into. Like you have Django, who's Boba's father, or clone, I guess. But I was getting excited when they had that stare down, like outside of the ruin there, and they had their back and forth dialogue, kind of calling each other out, and it was a nice buildup of tension. And then once nothing happened there, it's like, okay, we're gonna get some of this later in the end fight. Didn't happen. And then moving forward in future installments of shows, whatever it might be, I was just expecting so much more tapped into just the big bad bounty hunter like status, because those two, I feel like they should be running for that title. Fennec might be in that argument now, but obviously now we're not getting that, and I think that's definitely a missed opportunity.
I think that's the interesting part of this, where like for me, as I said already, like got like the dynamic of those characters before, like the idea of like, okay, Cad Bane training Boba Fett just so he can kind of get another shot at killing him because he wanted to prove he was better than Django, kind of a thing like that. And this whole dynamic. It's
but that's
weird
the tough thing, right? Because you're gonna have other people like Kirklin that have no
I
experience
know,
with that,
and
they're
that's
gonna
the
want
tricky
that
thing.
Yeah.
But like, do you like continue that story and add on, even though we've already got so well? I guess you could.
But it's a new chapter, right? Because it's been many decades since they've. Well, I don't know how.
The last time we see him as Bad Batch was just 30 years ago, which is
no.
extensive.
I meant I'm talking about the last time Bad Batch. The last time Boba and Cad would have had a meeting. Like I feel like there's been some time, right?
I think I need someone to correct me if I'm wrong. The only last time I remember is when he was in jail in the Republic prison, and he broke out with Obi-Wan that went undercover.
And Boba was still like a teenager at that point.
He
though,
was,
right?
yeah. He was training with Bosk and all that stuff. So.
And that's what Fanboy Clay pointed out. He liked the line of like, "Oh, I'm not a boy anymore." So that's why I feel like there's still enough that I feel like there's enough new that you could do, mostly new, but mix in a few of those lines of dialogue for people like Kirkland or others that haven't watched the show that maybe will one day or never will. But again, like I said, maybe it gets people to go back. But I think just because it's 2 episodes, people will just go, "Oh, I guess he knew his dad," and then like they'll move on. Like I feel like they needed a little more, and that's why I just don't know why did they need to kill him off this. I'll have to wait and see. But even then, I just feel like even if Mando season 3, he could have been like a 1-episode villain and pop up like he did in Clone Wars, right? You're right, they've done that before. But we could also be getting a season with Mando and Grogu where they've done that before and they're going back to it. So why not Cad Bane, who, like, I don't know, very popular character, lots of toys you could sell there, you know, like, and especially with Boba, like, I did like the potential dynamic, and I was surprised that he showed up. I didn't like how easily he kind of fought off the Rancor. Like, the Rancor just got blasted twice. The Rancor's like, I'm out of here, you know, like, Rancor, like, throw some sand at him or something, but. And I liked that. I was really happy when he got the first shots on Boba. I'm like, oh man, he's gonna survive. And like I said, again, I don't understand the complete point. I'm trying not to do this like without laughing, but of him doing this whole speech of him not being a killer. And I thought, oh, Boba's just gonna knock him out, put him in prison, and prove, yeah, I am different. But he didn't. He just proved, yeah, he is a killer. And then he stabbed him. But then the problem is, you would do that arc, and you would have him at the end of the season be like, you know what? I'm not right to run this. I'll give this to someone else. I'm going to go off and do what I do because I am the way I am. But no, he's like, you'll never be a leader. You're a killer. He kills him, and then he's like, oh, I'm a leader. You know, so it fell off that dialogue, too, of kind of prompting him to almost have a development in that moment, and he didn't. You know, I thought he was going to stab him in the shoulder, hit him, but no, he just like, I'm fucking killing this guy, and there's Cad Bane, you know.
He just saw red, yeah. And
he did. Let's take
him in cold blood.
murder. He stabbed him in cold blood, Taylor. Let's take another ad break. We still got lots to talk about, so we'll be right back. All right, this is what I was gonna work back to. Taylor, you didn't speak on Cobb Vanth at all because me and Kirklin popped off a little bit on Boba. But what did you think about Cobb Vanth and that whole kind of switcheroo? Obviously, so you were thinking he wasn't dead in the episode, but what do you think about him being like the end credits stinger?
I did not get the gist that he died. It was too much of a setup that he'd be alive, and getting that in the end credit scene is not what I expected at all. I think I need to stop listening to like scoopers and like everyone like talking about rumors, because I think they run with things and it just kind of like makes your mind.
What
get,
did you think
excited.
the end credit thing was?
People were talking about like something like, oh, we might get like an Obi-Wan trailer or something like that.
Oh no, why would you think that?
I didn't think it, but it's just like the possibility of getting something really exciting in the Star Wars universe starts to pop into your mind. So I just think that people, they run with things too much. And I think after the last like penultimate episode, I think it really expedited people thinking we're going to get all this crazy stuff. We're going to get like cameos and everything like that. And I think that's like, it's fair. I mean, it sets you up to kind of be hopeful and wonder, but I didn't think we would get something like this. I'm happy that it just reiterates the fact, okay, yeah, Cobb Vanth is kicking around still, because I really like Cobb Vanth as a character. I think he's awesome. I love the Marshal of Freetown. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and what comes out of it. So
yeah, when I heard he had been gone down in cold blood and I thought he was dead, I was pretty disappointed. I was like, man, that's the ending for Cobb Vanth, eh? And like it was fine because it was Cad Bane's. Like I'll accept it. But then when Cad Bane also died, I was like, fuck, like we're just losing these people left, right, and everything like that. So let's see. But why put him in the end credits? Is he big enough to keep him coming back around Mandalorian? I don't think so. Like I really don't. I don't think he's a big enough character. Nor Oliphant is. And that was from Fanboy Clay. I don't think he's a big enough actor. I think it's cool, but I think you could have just had that in the show. It reminds me a lot of the Shang-Chi ending, where like the ending was kind of like an end credits. Like, oh, don't do that. Like I don't think they needed to do any kind of. They could have just said he was too hurt to be at the battle. I don't think they needed, because to me, even though Taylor, you didn't take it that way, me and Kirklin did, and I think Clay did as well. Like to me, they're insinuating that he's dead. So like the big end credit was like, oh, he's alive. But if you think he's alive and then you just show him the BAFTA tank, it's like, yeah, he's alive. And I guess they're revealing he's getting some robotic prosthetics. But hopefully he's not gonna be like colored out like the other people, like the red, and like, please, I don't like, I do. He has his own bike, like I don't want that. But yeah, I thought it was a weird. I don't think it was worth it. There you go, Carl
Yeah,
Vance.
I agree.
Carl Vance. Where do you guys want to go next? I have a bunch of little notes here. Actually, you know what I want to shout out next, which was a fucking nightmare fuel. Fem McClare hit in the chat. I don't need any more of Miss Frizzle and the mayor's right hand. Oh my God. And people already know how I feel about Miss Frizzle. I don't feel the exact same hatred to her, the mayor's right hand, but he's definitely in that ballpark. And putting them together, it's like I've always feared of like putting what was it, Jared Leto's Joker and Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Like this was melting my mind. I couldn't take it, and I hate that. Like again, this is where the show kind of felt goofy. Where so she has Grogu, right? She finds him, he's eating some stuff, and then she decides I'm gonna take Grogu and find Mando. You're telling me she's not hearing these fucking bombs, these Boba's popping off of this rocket that does nothing, these robots moving, all this gunfire. You're telling me Miss Frizzle doesn't hear any of this, and she's just driving up and she's like, "Hey, Mando, what's going on?" And then there's one switch like, "Oh my god!" That just felt way too kind of like some of the Jar Jar episodes. But yeah, I didn't. I did not care for any of Miss Frizzle on the mayor. I was hoping the mayor would eat it, but unfortunately. He's kicking. I feel like he's gonna be like a Boba Fett like consultant. Like he's gonna be around all the time.
The mayor's hand.
Yeah, yeah. So I think he's gonna be Boba's hand now.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't like any of those characters. Really didn't like Miss Frizzle since her first appearance in Mando. She's just too much for me. It takes me out when she's on screen, and yeah, I mean, like, I love seeing Grogu back as much as I think it kind of hurts the overall story. If he's on screen, just interacting with some worms, eating them, it's adorable. I'm just eating those scenes up, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. I don't even care about his decision right now. This is just great to see him on screen again. But yeah, no, I'm done with that character. I have been done with that character, and I don't think Star Wars is done with that character. Yeah, she's coming back. So.
Taylor, anything on the Miss Frizzle and the mayor's right hand?
I'm not overly fond of the mayor's assistant. I just think when he kind of starts rambling on, it just kind of it pulls me out of it a little bit. It's like, okay, well, this is like 30 seconds of dialogue. That's like 30 seconds of like more Boba and Mando time I could be getting.
Yeah, 100%.
So as far as it goes for Miss Frizzle, I really like her character. I really do. She's kind of grown on me, and I really like the dynamic with the droids. I feel like she fits into the Star Wars universe. It's just one of those like quirky characters that you just would encounter running like a pit stop in a spaceport or whatnot. So I've really grown to like her, and I like that a relationship she has with Grogu as well.
I will say, because like again, I felt like some of it was small scale, because when Boba and Mando were just in the Rebel and the guys out there, I'm like, man, like you guys took on this many stormtroopers in the season 2 finale. Like even season 1 with what was the droid that Taika played? Mando?
IG-11.
IG-11. I felt like they even took on more people. So when they showed the people outside, I was like, this is strange. But I will say, very cool badass shot of Boba and him like back to back doing all the shooting. Like that felt very,
when they're on their jetpacks, that was awesome.
Yeah, like that whole segment was really cool. Like I said, I had a problem with the scale of it. It didn't feel as big as I wanted to do. It felt like, the budget's showing. But then back to back, like shooting the fire, everything. Like I was like, this feels like an action figure, like comic book. Like that was very cool.
I 100% agree. I think it was great, like seeing them fly, and then like the zoom in shot of them back to back shooting, and then it would like go to what they're shooting, and it's like 3 guys just like running. It's like yeah, okay, this is like some laser tag on like a Tuesday afternoon. When you're just, yeah,
because it's like, we can't have these guys right away because they got to survive, so they'll miss. But I feel like Mando's a pretty good shot, but.
When they popped off in the jetpacks, I lost it. I was like, I need to get Battlefront 2 on right now. I need to start playing. Like this was just so cool, just seeing them. The whole sequence was just fantastic.
Yeah, that was cool. And then, I got the biker game back. Like I was talking at the beginning, I wasn't a big fan of anything they did really and stuff. And I'll look through my notes, but I think we hit all the major stuff for me.
The one thing I want to bring up here, the whole Rancor thing, I was just head over heels in love with it. I loved how the anticipation of the roars, the claws coming up, and then just him. I loved how he was just like riding it or jumping around through the buildings and just like smashing. And he had armor on it. It was just absolutely so cool to see a Rancor. I felt like, okay, did I put on like Force Unleashed here? Am I like seeing something like that? Like it was crazy what I was witnessing, and I am glad that they had the budget for it.
I feel like you got some good like kaiju Godzilla shots at some moments where it was bird's eye view, and it was like fighting. There was one shot in particular where it threw it in the rubble. It was looking like very large and whatnot. So yeah, that was a good payoff. We kind of knew that was gonna happen, but I'm glad they did it. And yeah, the Rancor for the most part looked good. So Yeah, no, I agree. That was a good payoff. I did think the Rancor was gonna die because those robots were fucking. I was like, man, it's because we have seen it can just die from a steel door. So it's like these robots could mess it up, but no, Grogu got it asleep, and I guess he'll be back. He tried to bite Mando's head off, didn't work because that Beskar
That was
armor saved him.
brutal.
So
Holy
that's
shit.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to see the Rancor. It's like a different action, I guess, that the Rancor is doing from what we've been seeing in just the original movies, right? Of him just being in his pit. Here he can kind of be free. He's like King Kong in the wild. So yeah, that was awesome to see. And yeah, of course I was eating up when he was riding it. Like, come on, that was beautiful right there. That's a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have expanded all my notes or expelled mine. You guys have anything else to shout out in particular?
Fuck, I know. I think I had a couple more things, but just all that laughing, I feel like might have killed some brain cells. So I was a little too tired to be laughing that hard. That was good though.
Well, the good thing is we'll talk about it again on After 9 with the
Yeah.
GV listeners as well. So they'll get time to watch and we'll get everyone's thoughts and everything. So, well, if there's nothing else, now has come time to we rank the season. So I will go first because I think I might be the lowest. Last week I could have bumped it like if this finale was the same as before, like a 7, 8. I would give this. I'll give this a 5. Like I'll just pass it for me. Because to me the finale really hurt it. Even though I don't think the finale is a bad episode, I just think what's going forward. Much like last week's episode, maybe in the future I would change that when we see what happens. But for me, it's those first 4 episodes did not like. The finale I thought was fine, and then the finale kind of hurt those first 2 episodes that I did really love. Even though if you watch the episodes as bottle episodes by themselves, they're great. I think kind of now knowing what's going to happen. Same with Force Awakens. I still watch it. I go, oh, I love this movie. But then I think about what happens after. Like, right. Like I still like both. Well, okay. I like Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker depends day of week. I think that same thing hurt the franchise. So, or hurt my liking of the franchise. So that's where it's kind of similar to that. So I'm going to give it like just a pass, like right on there. And in a few months, though, maybe I will go higher. I could even go lower. So we'll see. So I'm a 5. Kirkland Pat, so I'll go next. I feel like he'll be the second lowest.
Yeah, it's a good guess. It is kind of tricky pinning like a score on this one just because I was really out of pretty much the whole show, but I can't really deny episodes 5 and 6. Like that was some really, really great content in there. And just thinking of Mando with the dark saber like that, like God, just I feel like I could revisit the show purely for that episode. It was really, really awesome. And it's just weird because it just doesn't feel like it fits in the Book of Boba. You know, like that could be a Mando scene. That's why maybe I was eating into the theory that they just like replanned what they were doing for the show. So that was amazing. Great introduction with Cad Bane. But I also can't deny that this episode kind of brought down some of those moments, especially. I mean, like the Luke semi-training moment with Grogu when he had him on his back, like all that stuff is really good. But then also in this episode, they just kind of get away from that and like kind of make that a lot less important, which sucks. So I think I'm gonna give it like a 5.9, little bit higher. I didn't want to give it a 6 just because I really, really was out of like some of those early moments in the first couple episodes, like pretty much all the Tusken stuff. I really did not care for, and I remember watching those
Which
episodes.
they called back to
kinda
this
slogging.
episode. We didn't talk about that. Right
Yeah.
away they just draw like they just tie it all together very quickly. Like, oh yeah, the Pikes, they killed your guys. Or they're like, oh, okay.
That was foreshadowed too, though. So
I guess I just wish we spent more time instead of Cad Bane just quickly dropping in the last fight and Boba, or in the middle, and Boba was just mad and everything.
Yeah. Get the zoom in on the helmet so you can see
Mm-hmm.
his emotion. But yeah, no, I definitely the reason I'm passing it is for those big moments in the previous 2 episodes. And yeah, I think there is some good moments sprinkled here and there, you know, other than those episodes, but it's definitely just not enough to really make me want to revisit the show. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Pass it along to Taylor. Hopefully he can save us.
Oh, I wanted to shout out one thing I forgot was I did really like Fennec's last scene where she took out all those dudes. That was cool. And I felt that guy that got choked, the mayor, that must have been brutal for the neck to get just hung up
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, but good on her.
Good on her, yeah.
So, yes, Book of Boba Fett. If you've been tuning into the reviews at this point in the game, you know that I really liked the first few episodes. I really loved the Tusken stuff. That was really doing it for me. I think there's a lot of good story there and development. Going right all the way up to where we got to Mando's introduction and everything. I've been on the bandwagon and supported it and just loved everything that we've gotten. This is probably the most rockiest part of the show, just was this finale with certain things, but that being said, it was mostly just Grogu coming back into the fold that was really rocky for me. I love the battle stuff with the Pikes. I love the war. I like the whole dynamic of all the people coming together and fighting with Boba. I don't want to say like, oh, good, the Cad Bane died. Yeah, woohoo. I'm not gonna say that, but like, I feel content that he met his end because I've been every step of the way, and I got to see him die in live action and not killed off in a comic book or just left in the sands of Tatooine where we never know how he goes out. So we got that conclusion, and I got some awesome action sequences. I got the Rancor going to town with Boba Fett riding it. A moment where Din Djarin's riding it. We got them using jetpacks together and just going to town. Fennec popping off, Chrysanthemum popping off. Like, so many awesome moments in this episode. So I would feel, again, confident that I would say the season as a whole, I would give it, I was thinking maybe going like 7.5, but I'm going to go an 8. And I stand by that because this show, I really, really enjoyed a lot of the things. And it'd be different if I wasn't, like you guys, wasn't on board for those first episodes with the Tusken stuff. But I, again, reiterate the fact, like, I loved it. I loved how they delivered it. I love that whole kind of flush out of Boba's character and kind of filling in the scenes of what we missed from Mando. But I'm docking at those 2 solid points because I think the Grogu thing is really kind of just hit me in a way that I'm not sure how I feel about. But I mean, it's cool to see him, and I'm holding faith again that, you know, I put my trust in Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. We're going to see some kind of proper kind of wrap up in the story and how they're going to kind of intertwine and connect it with Mando season 3. Again, this is all somehow leading towards Grand Admiral Thrawn. I know it in my heart. That's what they're building for. So it's going to be good.
That's funny. I predicted you're going to do 8. I thought so when you said 7.5, I was like, oh, no. But yeah, there you go. That's a solid score. That's kind of where I thought you were going. All the game says, would you prefer to be one done with Boba and friends showing up elsewhere instead of a season 2? Yeah, I guess, like, I feel like I'm speaking for Kirklin, but I feel like for us personally, I liked a little bit less. Yeah, like, I would rather if they were to say, hey, we could make Boba Fett 2 or invest this money and do something else with Star Wars, I'd say do something else. And I would say if anyone's going to pop up, just have Boba and Fennec. I don't need... And okay, Black or Sandon for sure too, but like I don't need the Power Rangers gang. I don't need the Mayor's Hand. I don't need who else we kind of have in here. I guess I just don't want those people really.
I would
Forgettable
agree. Like I personally, I don't feel like I need a season 2. I feel like this is content. Like we got it wrapped up. Like we had the conflict. Everything came to a conclusion. Tatooine.
Yeah, but you got those Hutts. They left that cliffhanger, right? The
they
Hutts
did,
still
but
around.
I mean, they could write the Hutts in however they wanted to a story, but war is bad for business. The Hutts bailed, and they clearly they bailed because of the Pikes. That was a threat to them, and they see now, okay, Boba defeated the Pikes, so that means Boba is even more dangerous than the Pikes. We're not going to get into war with that. We're leaving it. So I feel like their claim is renounced, whatever. They come back later on, sure, that's fine. I don't need a season 2, though, is what I'm trying to say. I'm content with this first season. That's all I need. So all in the game, to answer your question, I am fine with having the hat trick characters just coming into joining Mando on some future adventure in season 3 or whatnot.
They just have to have a sit-down meeting with Boba Fett.
Exactly what I was
and
going to
talk
say.
to him, and they're like,
100% what I was going to say.
We could beat this fucking idiot. Like, come on. Like, we ran Tatooine for years, and Simple Fett's running it. No, we got this. Yeah, that's all they need. So maybe we'll get that.
He's in his stable. Just working with his Rancor.
No,
God.
sorry, he's in the BAFTA tank. He can't meet right now. Well, there
That's
you
funny.
go. We'll be back supposedly and hopefully in May for Obi-Wan. Like we're back all the time, Moon Knight, stuff like that. But for Star Wars, that's the rumored day of the show, and I think that's what will be happening. I think we all kind of think that. So I'm still excited. That to me is going to be, if I feel the same way about that as I do this, that's going to be like, I thought my Star Wars love almost died after Rise of Skywalker. That would be that someone cut me off of life support. But you got Deborah Chow, man. Deborah Chow is fucking great, so I'm hoping she pulls it off. But that's the next time you'll hear from us about Star Wars stuff until there's other trailer and news. So thank you very much for tuning in, whether it's just this episode or any other episodes in the past. Let us know, whether it's the Discord, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, what you thought about this. Do you feel more like me and Kirkland? Do you feel like Taylor? Do you have your own thoughts? Or maybe let us know what you thought about it. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. May the Force be with you.
Always.